Sometimes even the truth itself can drag a person into a darkness deeper than they could ever imagine. While betrayal shatters not just the heart, but the entire life, the discovery of a photograph became the beginning of everything. The dark secrets my wife hid from me, the truth behind years of a relationship, and a shocking end. Are you ready? Before dive into my story, if you don't want your life to be turned upside down like mine, subscribe to my channel to learn real lessons from the real stories we share every day, just like mine. Also, share your thoughts about the shocking truths I've experienced in the comments, and please show your support by liking my video. Now that you've subscribed, let's dive into my story. One day, while browsing the internet, I came across a photograph that marked the beginning of everything. For 4 years, my wife frequently traveled for work. I was left alone for weeks at a time, spending lonely nights in an empty house. When I saw that photo, I felt something change within me. I didn't need to see her face. The antique china, her late mother's old wedding ring, the necklace I had given her last Christmas, and the knitted camisole I gifted on her birthday. All these details gave her away. I never thought my life would crumble when I saw my wife Sandra's photo with another man. Using my computer skills, I traced this photo and found it on 3 different adult websites. I tried to reach Sandra, called her mobile and Skype multiple times, called her hotel, but there was no response from anywhere. I called her colleagues and no one knew where she was. I left voice messages and sent panic-filled emails. I told them there was a family emergency. 30 minutes passed and still no answer. I called the hotel again and asked them to send someone to her room. About 10 minutes later, my phone rang. It was Sandra. There was worry in her voice, but I was more consumed by anger than concern. "What's going on, honey?" she asked. "Check your email," I said, and hung up. I sent her the photo. I waited, thinking she might explain, but all I heard was her scream filled with fear. "Oh my God," she cried. I cut her off. "Not another word. Pack your stuff and get back here immediately." She pleaded with me. "No, I can't. I'll lose my job." But I had already made up my mind. "If you don't come, I'll send the photo to your colleagues as well. Remember the morality clause in your employment contract. By 8 a.m., you'll have lost your precious job." At 8 a.m., I received a message from her boss. He informed me that she had been immediately dismissed and apologized for her behavior. As I read the message, I smiled. The irony of the situation made me laugh. At 11:10, I saw her walking toward the front door. She tried to insert the key into the lock, but the key wouldn't turn. She panicked and called me. I waited a few minutes before opening the door. "Please, honey, let me explain everything," she pleaded. Her eyes scanned the living room, but there were no tears, no signs of remorse. I directed her to the living room. "You can stay here until you've packed your things, but you will not leave this room and you will not speak to me. No explanations are necessary. Make a few phone calls and get out of my house." She tried to ask, "Why?" I looked back at her as I poured myself another cup of coffee from the kitchen. "Leave your wedding ring on the side table. Since you brought it up, I wonder what your mother would think of you now." I heard sobs from the next room, but I didn't care. "If someone rings the doorbell, answer it. They're here for you." I heard another sob, and as if on cue, the doorbell rang. Sandra opened the door and saw her father. I heard the sound of a slap echo through the house. "From now on, you have no family. Live on the streets. That's where women like you survive." "Dad, please," Sandra said. "Your sister is erasing you from our lives. No one will lift a finger to help you." Sandra's heart was shattered, but all I felt was anger. 20 minutes later, the doorbell rang again. I didn't even bother to move. Sandra got up and shuffled toward the door. This time, Father Mike arrived. "Sandra White, from this moment on, you are banned from all parish activities, including confession. Based on what I know, I will meet with the Archbishop to issue an excommunication decree." Father Mike closed the door himself and left. I didn't know how long she lay by the door, but each sob, each cry, brought me a twisted satisfaction. Finally, I finished my coffee, walked to the door, and found her still lying there. I picked her up in my arms, gently laid her on the couch, and stared at the woman I once loved. Now there was neither love nor hate, just emptiness. "Sandra Nicole Dean White, your career is ruined, your family has disowned you, your church has abandoned you. Can you say your life is over now? At that moment, Sandra's eyes were staring into the void. Yes, she finally whispered. Sandra, with a mix of pain and guilt, confessed. Yes, I was with another man. Yes, I was with other men while traveling. Yes, I was with a man every night while traveling. Did you use protection? I asked. No, she replied. Then how didn't you get pregnant? I asked. I had surgery, she said. This time my anger boiled over. Why didn't you ever tell me? We were saving up to have a child. We were both working so hard for that, I shouted. She admitted, I was lonely. I couldn't bear being without you. Before I could say anything, she continued. The first time we were together was different. It was deep, intense, meaningful love. I had never felt anything like it before. But as my promotion approached, everything changed. I had to travel so much, and it killed me to be away from you. I needed you, your touch, your love. I missed you so much that I started doing terrible things to fill the void, and then I couldn't stop. This confession only fueled my anger further. Nonsense. Why didn't you ever tell me? How could you keep the secret for so long? We were planning to have a child, saving up for it. But you destroyed everything with your selfishness, I shouted. Sandra quietly wiped her tears and said, I couldn't tell you because I was afraid of losing you. I was lonely and couldn't do it without you. That's why I acted so selfishly. And what about me? Did you ever think about what I was doing while you were gone for 3 weeks every month? How I dealt with my loneliness? No, you only acted out of your selfishness, I said. Sandra sighed and confessed. Oh God, darling, there were so many men. These words stabbed my heart like a knife. Were they all clean? Were they all healthy? I asked angrily. Sandra wiped the tears from her eyes and replied, Yes, they all had medical certificates. They were all clean. I showed her a fake medical certificate I had downloaded. Like this one? I asked mockingly. Sandra examined the form and began to cry again. Later today, I'll go to the clinic. If I show signs of a disease, I will destroy you. Do you understand? I threatened. Sandra, begging, said, Oh God, please, darling, destroy me now. Please do it. But I didn't want to destroy her right away. No, I said, there's another option for someone like you. Sandra looked at me hopelessly, but I could see a small glimmer of hope in her eyes. I turned around, took out her grandfather's old revolver, and placed it on the coffee table. I offer you a cowardly way out. I won't destroy you, but I'll sit here and watch you destroy yourself. Are you brave enough for that, Sandra? Do you really want an easy way out? I asked. Sandra stared at the gun for what seemed like hours. Determination appeared on her face. She leaned forward, grabbed the weapon, and pressed it against her right temple. Tears filled her eyes as she looked at me for what must have been the last time. Please forgive me. I've been so awful to you, she said. Then she closed her eyes and pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed unnaturally loud in the confined space. I grabbed my cell phone and dialed emergency services. Hello. My wife just tried to shoot herself, I said calmly. As I looked at Sandra's lifeless body on the floor, I wasn't sure what I was supposed to feel. The woman I once loved, my wife, had paid the ultimate price for her betrayal. While her pain was overwhelming, my own pain seemed almost irrelevant in comparison. Now I was left in the shock of this moment that had forever changed both of our lives. There was no going back, not from her betrayal, nor from my revenge. This was an ending, but also a beginning of emptiness, silence, and loneliness that would follow this destruction.